Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for your time and attention to this presentation. I really appreciate you coming by tonight. It is a privilege and an honor to be addressing the Mars Society on this project, and I hope we can give you something worthy of your time. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Those were Neil Armstrong's words from the moon back when every person on the planet knew their future lay in space. The moon was just the first step. Tomorrow we'd be on Mars and then beyond. And that was over 50 years ago, and today the dreams seem a little different. Mankind is still interested, sure, but fewer people see space as something for themselves personally. They turn to earthbound concerns instead and wonder why we should bother with space at all. But what if we could all experience the final frontier for ourselves? What would the dreams be like then? The TheMarsLeap promises to put people on the Mars by 2023 and let them live the dream for themselves. The TheMarsLeap will take people of all ages on a Mars Direct mission to scout sites for a permanent Martian colony. They'll live the experience from planning and training through liftoff and millions of miles of vacuum to Mars. They'll ponder the red planet from an orbiting space station before dropping to the hostile surface. They'll face the possibilities of a new world and learn firsthand what it will take to shape humanity's next frontier. The TheMarsLeap is an immersive, interactive, educational exhibit that will travel to large regional science centers around the country. Right now, immersion experiences are the cutting edge of theme parks and gaming, but they open powerful new possibilities for the museum world as well. The TheMarsLeap will use that power to inspire visitors with the idea that Mars is for them personally. The exhibit centers around the Mars Direct mission architecture that revolutionized thinking about Mars. Visitors will learn about the science and real-world value of space exploration through the overwhelming power of first-hand experience. In this 5,000 square foot exhibit, environmental and equipment simulations will combine with scenic elements, AV systems, computers, graphics, scale models, and more to convey the experience of a real Mars mission. Integrated computer systems can tailor content to a wide range of ages, abilities, languages, educational backgrounds, or group sizes. The TheMarsLeap is currently in the advanced concept phase, and the final form will change significantly as the content develops. But many parts are critical to the educational content, and we can tell you about those right now. So let's go on a quick tour of the major areas. Visitors are greeted by a Mars astronaut kneeling near a MAV, hand extended an invitation, and flanked by the names of the sponsors, foundations, and funders who made his trip possible. The Mars Direct entry describes the scenario the visitor is about to enter. They'll take the role of an astronaut in designing a mission, training for it, carrying it out on Mars, and then returning home. Understanding Mars Direct guides everything to follow, so visitors get an in-depth focus on the mission architecture. They'll learn about the SLS, HAB, MAV, and more, and from there, visitors will begin their journey to Mars. But well before they encounter a launch pad, they'll begin by thinking. Their story of Mars will begin with the most basic decisions. Whether we should go at all, and if we do, what we should do once we get there. They'll weigh questions like the ethics of risking human life in space, or balancing the expense of space exploration with human needs here on Earth. They'll learn about the history and impact of space exploration, and how much of our world already depends on space-related industries. They'll learn that many of the questions affecting the future of our planet can only be solved by mastery of this new frontier. They'll go on to learn what it takes to work in the space industry, and that's a prime way to bring in industrial and educational insights. We're going to connect with real people in the space industry, from engineers, science, and astronauts to CEOs and kitchen staff, to provide a library of personal interviews for the exhibit. No matter their interest, Each visitor should be able to find a person that resonates with them and find out what that person did to seize their future in space. Keeping with the themes of balance and decisions, visitors will have to balance tasks with value, risk with reward, to design their personal Mars mission from an array of options. There's no right or wrong, but it will matter. Their mission goals can affect their choices later in the exhibit. Now, the decision to go to Mars is just the first step. No astronaut gets to space without education and training, and our cadets will be no different. They'll start with basic training, the fundamental space tasks every crew member should know. These are things like orbital mechanics, EVA training, closed-loop environments, or a host of other potential nuts and bolts space capabilities. There'll be a particular focus on in situ fuel production since it's so critical to understanding Mars Direct. Once the cadets know these basics, they face another decision, their advanced mission specialty. They can choose engineering, biology, geology, or computers, and each one of these fields would have its own dedicated exhibit. Later in the scenario, their choice will become important as mission challenges crop up. But for now, the cadets have graduated astronauts and they're ready to leave the Earth. They board an SLS for liftoff and dock with a HAB waiting in orbit for the long trip to Mars. The astronauts arrive in Martian orbit at Collins Station, mission control for the colonization effort and way station for astronauts on the way down. They're greeted by a stunning vista of the red planet from close orbit, visible through the huge picture windows in the station. Since Collins Station creates artificial gravity through spin, travelers will see Mars slowly rotate in the window about once every 3 minutes or so. It's not so fast they'll get dizzy, but it's fast enough they'll notice the change while they're in the area. A voice-activated AI will overlay Mars information on the window in response to visitors' questions. And as they tour the station, visitors will learn about space stations, Martian colonies, Martian architecture, and terraforming. Many surface tasks could be performed remotely by astronauts in Collins Station. Things like telerobotic mining, telerobotic surgery, and drone reconnaissance could be carried out by visitors in the station, working with robots, drones, and astronauts on the surface. This breakup of exhibits is a unique feature of the TheMarsLeap, allowing the exhibits to be controlled by visitors in another area. And this is a critical part of the community outreach, but more on that in a moment. When their time in orbit is complete, there's just one stop left. The astronauts pass through the airlock to the HAB unit that will take them to the surface. Once down, the HAB is the astronauts' home and base of operations during their Martian stay. There's a meeting area for the crew and a food prep area with sample Martian menus. And while a real HAB might have individual quarters for each astronaut, ours has just one, but it does have its own attached Martian bathroom. People want to know. But living is just part of the astronaut's job on Mars, and most of the HAB is dedicated to the science and engineering that will be critical to the mission. It's equipped with an experiment rack, a science lab, and a mechanical section where visitors can choose from many more experiments and interactives than they could ever possibly use in one visit. This is to accommodate the various mission plans that the visitors might come up with. Each interactive encapsulates a task performed on Mars, and this is where the visitors' choices from Mission Control Earth and astronaut training start to come into play. Their mission plans and specialties will determine which equipment they need, which experiments they choose, and what disaster scenarios they may face. Looking for subsurface water? Well, you'll need the ground-penetrating radar equipment. Oh, that's broken. Can the engineering specialist fix it? What about setting up the hydroponic dome? The crate's over there, and your biology specialist is going to have a much easier time than your computer guru. There'll be problems to be solved and lessons to be learned by every visitor, but the important thing is that each individual experience they have will always be different. The HAB is great, but no traveler travels to stay in the hotel. Our astronauts pack their gear, suit up, cycle the airlock, and open the hatch. Though our mission scenario says they're building colonies, when visitors open the airlock, they won't see any evidence of it. As much as humanly possible, we will give our astronauts the experience of stepping off their fragile ship and onto a new, unsullied frontier. The view from the Hab airlock is unspoiled Martian vista. A mesa on one side blocks activity going on elsewhere. But when you go around the mesa, it becomes a different story. You may see the robotic survey balloon glide by, or maybe the Martian helicopter piloted from Collins peeking into view. Over there, a mom astronaut is reading about the geology of the surrounding area while her 3-year-old child astronaut plays happily in the regolith. Next to them, a real rocket engine designer on Earth is live online with an astronaut not yet out of high school.
Okay, good. All right.
An elderly engineering specialist might be working with a computer specialist to align a communication disk, while nearby, a geology specialist examines the work of a telerobotic miner for magmatic inclusions. The computer specialist may have been a bad choice to set up the hydroponics dome, but they've contacted Collins Station and a replacement is on the way. The rover over there is on a mission to Hellas Planitia. The geologist has chosen a low-risk task of finding subsurface ice, while the biologist is on a high-risk quest for fossil life. And the possibilities go on, from surveying to construction to medical rescue. Virtually any task that can be done on Mars can be turned into an interactive element of the Mars Leap. But all good things must come to an end, and there on the opposite side of the Mars Dome from the Hab stands the MAV. As yet another engineering specialist confirms the in-situ propellant system has worked as planned, the visitors buckle into their seats for their return to Collins, and from there to Earth. Now, this exhibit itself is only the first way of fulfilling the promise of Mars by 2023. Museum visitors can use these exhibits any way they choose. They're open-ended. But the integrated computer systems at the heart of the Mars Leap allow another option, playing for score. And a critical part of this project is a community outreach program in each museum area. Schools or other groups would field teams of 4 astronauts and 2 mission controllers. Teams would take an extensive test to qualify, and the top 4 teams would enter a competition. Using online Mars Leap curriculum and resources, each team will design their own detailed Mars mission. And after practice and training in a gigantic weekend publicity event for the museum, the teams will travel to the museum to execute their mission plans on the Mars Leap equipment and be scored on the results. Now, creating and executing a Mars mission that plays out over weeks will take these people deeper into the experience, but we're going to give them the tools to get even closer. A significant portion of the Mars Leap budget is intended for scholarship awards at each venue, giving the winning teams boosts toward the educational need for real-world futures in space. We see this as an ideal area for companies to connect with the next generation of STEM graduates. But there's a way to get even closer, and so now would be a wonderful time to tell you that the Mars Leap has just passed a major milestone. After sharing the project idea with Dr. Robert Zubrin, we are thrilled to announce that the Mars Society is generously supporting the Mars Leap as our first prime sponsor. The impact and prestige of the world's largest Mars advocacy group is a breathtaking asset, but just as important is Dr. Zubrin's intention to personally participate in the educational aspect of this project. As the man most associated with creating Mars Direct, he brings insights and history that absolutely no one else can. There are many wonderful science and technology exhibits out there, but very few get to work with the founders in the field for their development. The participation of Dr. Zubrin in the Mars Society is a pivotal, unique advantage of the project, and we cannot thank you enough. But there's one last benefit that might be the biggest of all. We promised to put people on Mars by 2023. They got there in the Mars Leap experience. They got closer in the competition, and they got closer still with the scholarships. But now, thanks to the vision and support of the Mars Society, we can get them closer than anywhere else on Earth, because the grand prize for the winning Mars Leap team is much more than the scholarships. The grand prize will be a trip to the Mars Society's Mars Desert Research Station in Utah. Now, none of this will happen without the support of people and companies like the ones here today. We see many advantages to companies and institutions who might consider sponsorship because the Mars Leap is a marketing opportunity like no other. The exhibits we told you about in our tour aren't the only ones. We plan to develop many more exhibits around the technologies of sponsoring companies. For example, an auto company may choose to have their name on the Mars rover, or a drone company may want to support the helicopter. A university may choose to support an interactive around a technology they're researching. We plan to integrate our sponsors more deeply into the content than any other medium can. But also, most advertising is both transient and expensive. Sponsors might reach millions with a 1-minute TV spot or tens of thousands of people on a magazine ad that lasts a month. But the Mars Leap will be seen by millions of people over a 10-year lifespan. While most marketing material is muted or ignored, visitors to the Mars Leap will be spending hours closely and attentively interacting with the exhibit. Science museums are central to life in most communities, and sponsoring companies would be associated with these prestigious and respected venues. Space exploration itself is the cutting-edge science of tomorrow and a huge draw for museums, so we expect a very warm reception when the exhibit goes live. But the biggest advantage to museums can't be matched by any other marketing medium. The Mars Leap will let companies reach and support the next generation of scientists and engineers. Through sponsorship, scholarship funding, or educational support, companies can reach out to and even shape the careers of people who will one day work in STEM fields, perhaps even at your company. And if we haven't said so yet, we are actively seeking sponsors at this time, which gives us another opportunity for another big announcement. We are pleased to tell you that we have just started our crowdfunding campaign to make Mars Leap a reality. There are a variety of levels that should fit anyone who wants to support us. The sole presenting sponsor would be ideal for the Lockheeds, Boeings, and SpaceXs of the world, and many of you are joining us right now, so we'd love to talk with you. The prime and major sponsor levels would be a good fit for other large or mid-sized companies, and we also have a lower sponsor level that would allow smaller companies or even enthusiast groups to come on board. And for individuals, we have levels from $5,000 to $25 that would fit any budget. Reward gifts range from recognition on the exhibit signage to invitations to the grand opening to t-shirts, mugs, and mission patches. If you'd like to support the dream of Mars, and I certainly hope you will, just go to our website at TheMarsLeap.com and click Join the Team. If you'd like any further information or would like to contact us for any other reason, TheMarsLeap.com is the way to do it, or you can email us at info@TheMarsLeap.com. NASA hopes to be on Mars by 2043. China is making plans for 2033. But the Mars Leap will put people on Mars by 2023, but only with your help. If you'd like to join the team through your time, talent, or sponsorship, we'd certainly like for you to join us on the next frontier. So please, reach out and give us a call.